Hey guys, so it's me, Angela, and I'm making this video because I've had so many people to comment, message, whatever, and they're like, how did you come across your macaw? Was she expensive? Where did you get her from? How tame is she? That kind of stuff. Just tons of questions about Marley. And no, Marley's not in this video because, it's 20 till 10. I'm getting ready for bed. And I thought, you know what, let me just answer this question right quick and get it over with before I go to bed. And first of all, Marley was gifted to me. My stepmother had two macaws, and they were bonding to each other and not to them, not to the humans. And I don't know if any of you understand that. I mean, the people that have macaws and birds will understand what I'm talking about, but for those of you who don't, basically sometimes if you have more than one bird, it will bond with the other bird and it won't have anything to do with the human. Absolutely nothing. So that was kind of their case. And they had Romeo much longer, and he was more attached to them than what she, I guess, was. So that's why they chose to get rid of her. And if you've never had a bird, you really should start off small, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into, first of all. I had previously had budgies, of course, the little parakeets. I have two now. Of course, they're over there sleeping. But and then I had owned a cockatiel back in my mid-20s, and I had him for about 10 years, and he was hand-fed, hand-raised. So as long as there's no other bird around, you don't have any problems. I mean, they think they're human. They think that that's how life's supposed to be. They've not bonded to another bird, so they don't know anything about being a bird. They want to be with humans, and that's all there is to it. But, I knew having that cockatiel for 10 years, then there weren't any avian vets, or however you say that, around. You couldn't find vets to treat, not in this area, these exotic birds. And that's what a bird is considered, an exotic animal. So, I would carry him to the vet, and they would do a little for him, but, he actually died because a vet just didn't know how to treat him. They had no idea of what to do for him. And he got a simple upper respiratory infection, which we see a simple upper respiratory infection for birds. A respiratory infection is very serious. They will die. And so they didn't know how to treat him. They didn't know what to do, how to take care of him. The 3 vets that we went to before he died, all 3 tried to take care of him. All 3 of them did do their part in trying to save my baby's life, but they couldn't do it. They just, I have got allergies so bad I went to a ball game last night, and my first college football game, which was amazing, by the way. But all that outside dust, it has got my nose, eyes, and throat so itchy I can't stand it. So my allergies are really up, so please forgive me if you just see me scratching and clearing my throat and coughing. But anyway. But, they tried to take care of my little Chico so bad. And it broke my heart when he died. When he died, I said then, I will never own another bird like that. Never. Because, when they get sick, there's nothing you can do for them but just watch them die. And, I was so heartbroken. And I think I was probably 24, 25 when I got him. And I had him till like my mid-30s. And I just said then, I just won't do this again. This is just something I won't do. So, other than some parakeets, I've never, and I'm not saying parakeets' lives are different. It's just, you don't get as attached to them. Well, some people may. But, I mean, some people really may. I'm not trying to say that a parakeet's life is less than, these other birds. But, for me with the budgies, I just kind of get them and they get free roam through the day, through the house, But they get to fly around their cage at night and they fly around the house. I just love to listen to them, hear them sing and stuff like that. I really don't hold them and things like that. Some people do. But anyway. Anyway, to get to Marley. I have been thinking long and hard over a couple of years now about getting another cockatiel. I had cockatiel on my mind. I wasn't thinking of any other kind of bird. I wanted to get another cockatiel. But I was so worried. What if I get this bird and it's the same thing? 5 or 6 years down the road when I'm extremely attached and this bird does everything with me like Chico did and it dies. So I was so wishy-washy. I just didn't know whether I should try for it or not. Because, needless to say, until I got Chico, I never realized I was a bird person. I never realized that I would actually love birds the way I love them. Some people love cats. I like cats. I have a cat that stays outside. And we have dogs. We have two Chihuahuas and a poodle. And I love them. But for some reason, whatever happens with the birds, I become extremely attached to them. And that's what had happened with Chico. So, to get on to, I'll ramble forever. So let me get on to this question about everybody with Marley. When my stepmom was talking about it, I was like, oh, that's too much bird. Because taking care of birds, and handling them, there's times when birds are not like a dog or a cat. You cannot force it to do anything. Not even a budgie. If I need to do something with those budgies in that cage over there, just because they're little, you can get them out just with your hand and hold them and force them to stay in your hand till you do whatever needs to be done and put them back. Of course, they're nipping your fingers the whole time. No matter how tame they are, if they don't want to do it, they're going to bite you. And, when you get on up to a cockatiel, and the little sun conures and all that, you're going to have to wrap them in a wash rag because they can bite the blood. And it's a little bite there. They ain't taking a finger off or nothing, but they can bring blood and they can get kind of aggressive. As sweet and loving as Chico was, if he didn't want to do something and it was something he had to do, it's just something I had to make him do, he was going to take as much blood out of you as he could because he meant he wasn't doing it. And he thought he was human. He didn't even sleep in a cage. He slept in the bed with us. So, I was like, I don't know about that. From my experience with Chico, I didn't have to worry about him, even if I had to force him to do something. I didn't have to worry about losing a finger or nothing like that, or some stitches. But I do know you can't force a bird to do anything. This bird's going to need vet care. It's going to need me from time to time to hold it down and do something to its claw, its talons or toenails, claws, whatever y'all choose to call it. They're technically called talons. And I may be saying that wrong, because I just basically call it their toenails. And, you're going to have to hold it down to trim its wings. You're going to have to do this. And, when it comes to a macaw, that's a big freaking bird. You're going to get your ass whipped if you're not careful. I hate to say it like that, but they'll put you in your place quick. So you have to really think about it. Have you got the money for the vet? Marley just went and had toenails, beak, and wings done. And I paid $111. she's got to go back in 5 weeks and have it done again. Not the wings this time, but just the toenails and the beak. And that's going to be somewhere around $100 to $111. Then you need to set up a fund, because if she were to come down sick tomorrow, I can't say, well, come Friday, if she ain't no better, I'm going to take her to the vet. That doesn't work with birds. If a bird is sick, it needs to go right then, or your bird is going to die on you. If you notice the bird has stopped eating, something's wrong with its poop, a funky smell, coming from its poop, it needs to go to the vet. And, when I had Chico, I could take him to our regular vet during any of those little small problems. But it's when Chico got that bad respiratory infection, they just didn't know how to get rid of it. They just didn't know how. And so that is what got us. But luckily we made it 10 years before, because I kept Chico to the vet. I mean, I made sure he went. But you need money put back, because that is not going to be $111. That's going to be probably in the thousands. So, yeah. And then let's talk about, how did you train her? No, Marley wasn't a wild bird taken out of the wild. So, and most of the time you're not going to find a macaw that was taken from the wild that doesn't know humans. So your birds know that humans can be their companions. They already know that. Now, will they be your companion? That depends on the bird. If that bird decides it doesn't want to bond with you, I don't care if it's a budgie or a macaw or a big hawk or whatever the heck you decide to get. You've got a bird now that you have to take care of. Feed, water, vet care, all that, and it's going to whoop you every time you walk in the room, because it's going to defend its territory. You're in its territory. You're not a part of its flock. And trust me, they will choose not to bond with you if they don't want to bond with you. So you're taking a chance anytime you get one. And I knew that. That's why I was kind of hesitant. What if I get this big old bird and she never bonds? Then I've got to try to find her a home that she might bond with. We got to try to do this and do that and blah, blah, blah. And then at a later time, find me a bird and you may go through several that bond with you, that don't bond with you, I'm sorry. But as the most part, if you work with your bird and things like that, they will eventually bond with you. It can take as little as a week, or it can take as long as a year. I've known people who say, I've had mine 2 years and it just bonded. So, that's something you have to understand. That bird may not bond with you right away, and it may never bond. If you get another bird, it's a possibility it can stay bonded with you and teach the other bird to bond with you. But then there's a big possibility that they can bond together and you are no longer part of their flock. So now you got two birds that you can't even touch, handle, do nothing with. They're trying to tear your hands off just putting food in the cage. So those are things you really need to consider. You don't just walk into a pet store and say, I want that bird in a week. I'm going to have it eaten out of the palm of my hand. It doesn't work that way. If that bird doesn't like you, it's never going to like you. And if you try to force it, it definitely will never like you. So, luckily with Marley, she bonded really quick. Now, at first, me and her, for about the first 3 weeks, she just, oh my gosh, she just screeched and she just carried on and she just screeched and she just wasn't happy. I couldn't figure things out, and I did have somebody that understood macaws a little more, because like I said, I had a cockatiel. They're a little bit different, not much. I just had to understand what Marley was hunting and why she was hunting it. But as for the bonding thing, I didn't force that. My son would come over and try to make her like him and get on him, and he'd have to chase her and catch her and make her step up, and he still does. Once she gets up there, she'll stand there and look at him, because she knows if I try to bite him, he's going to thump the fire out of me, which I disapprove of. But that's not the kind of relationship you want. You don't want to have to chase your bird. That's ridiculous. You want your bird to see you and say, oh, there's mama. And come to you like a dog would come to you. You don't want to have to force it to do anything. So I just was gritting my teeth, sitting by her cage, talking to her, ignoring her when she was carrying on, cutting up. I made sure I was out of her reach so she couldn't bite me. But that kind of stuff. And I kind of done her like I did horses. I had horses on and off kind of through my lifetime a little bit, and I kind of know some about them. I mean, as a child, I had a stepdad that broke horses, and I remember a lot of things he did. And one thing you don't do with them, with the horses, that I see a lot of people when they're breaking horses, is force them. Should never force a horse. Now, training and forcing this horse to be your friend and allow you to touch him and sit on him and things of that nature should never be forced on them. It should come to them. They should come to you. Of course, now once they get to that part, you can start ground training with them and teach them all the ropes from that point. But they're not even going to enjoy that. If they didn't come to you, if you force them to do it, they're not even going to enjoy it. So, I did Marley similar to what he did. Apparently it works for birds. And, my stepdad, he would just send me out as a kid. Go out there, sit and play and put your blanket down, read a book, and take you some horse feed and some apples. And horses are like any other animal. They get curious, and they're going to come to you to see what you're doing. And when they get there, of course, you eventually start slowly handing them that food, and they just get trusting of you, and then you can go from there with the training. And I did Marley the same way. I just sit close to her cage, very close, not close enough for that beak to bite me. I eat all my meals there. I talk to her. I read her books. We watched TV together. That kind of stuff. And after a little bit, Marley got curious. She wanted to know what it is that I'm doing. She doesn't try to talk to me. She doesn't try to force me to do that. She doesn't try to make me do anything. She doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. She got curious, and she come off of that cage, and she got on a little perch that I had beside the cage, which then put her within reach of me. And she would start eating out of my plate, and she would stand there and watch me. She didn't want me to touch her, but she wanted to know what I was doing. And then when I would read her books, she would get over into my lap, because like I say, she could touch me then. She could get to me then, when she got on that perch. And she would, that kind of stuff. She would get into my lap, and she wanted to watch me read that book. I mean, she was fascinated with me turning the pages and everything, but still, it was a no touch. And my arms would accidentally brush up against her. Now, mind you, she's in my lap. And if she wanted to step up on my arm to get a better look, she would. But she's in my arms. She's in my lap on my arms, but I couldn't reach and touch her. So, I just had to be patient when my hands would touch. But oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump you or whatever. And it got to the point Marley was like, hey, rub my feet. She wanted to throw her foot up and get it rubbed. And then she wanted her head rubbed. And she just become all of a sudden bonded to me. And I can't get away from Marley. When she realizes I'm awake in the morning, it's, a fit pitch till I come in there. And she wants on me. She wants to know what I'm doing. She wants to know who I'm talking to. This telephone is her thing. She has learned that a lot of people video message now. Video talk, I mean. She wants to look at who's in the other. And she wants to stand there and talk to them through that screen. And she just loves it. She's just fascinated with everything. And I don't have to, when I walk in the room, I don't walk over and say, step up, Marley. Because when I walk into the room, Marley has done figured out how to step up on me. She means to get to me and get on me before I get back out of the room. She's like, well, you ain't leaving me in here. And she's free roam through the day. She can come and go as she pleases. She's getting a little better about coming off of her cage. as soon as I go in the room, I have things set up in there. She has a perch in there, and she has her cage, and then she has a perch we made her that's made out of PVC pipe. And then she has a chair that I use vet tape to tape up. Vet tape's very safe for birds. And I've taped it up, and I have it sitting close to the perch. So she can get off her cage, onto the perch, onto the chair, onto, like if I'm over near the fish aquarium, she can get on those tables. I just have everything set to where she can move around the whole room and never touch the floor if she doesn't want to. And she doesn't like to. Marley doesn't want to be on that floor. I think she's scared of what could happen to her down there. So long as I keep things to where she can move freely, she'll move all around that room. And then there's times when she'll get as close to that door as she can and start calling for me. She calls for me by screaming, help. Help, help, help. And every now and then she'll say, help me, help me. But mostly just help. She got that from my grandson, Riot, who loves to run through here and the bigger kids chase him. And he screams, help me, Mimi, help me, Mimi. And so she picked that up, and now she'll scream, help me, help me, help me. And so from that, she's picked that up. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. You're not going to be able to force her to like you. She'll either choose to like you, and you got to be patient till they do, or you just have a bird that's in a cage that you got to feed and water and get away from it before it takes your fingers off. If it doesn't, because there is a chance your bird will never, ever bond with you. There is a chance that your bird will never like anyone in your household. There is a chance that you get a bird and it likes you for a time being, and then someone new comes around and it bonds to that person and no longer likes you. So think about those things before you spend money. Macaws can run anywhere from $2 or $3 grand all the way up to some of the highest in macaws I think can run about 20 grand. So think about that before you spend all that money. Think about it. Are you willing to take the chance that this bird will never have nothing to do with you? Are you willing to take the chance that this bird can love you for 10 years and then somebody new walk in and it decide, hey, that's my person, and not like you anymore? So with that being said, it's something you have to really, really think about. If you are not willing to do that, it's probably better to not get a bird, period. Because it's with all birds, not just the macaws. Just with the macaws, bigger bird, bigger budget because you got to feed them more, bigger vet bills. More money, in other words, more chances of going to get stitches, because even a well bonded bird can literally lash out. She can lash out and put stitches in me at any time. Is that something you're willing to go through? If so, then birds not be for you. And I'm not one who wants an animal that I feel like if I'm feeding your ass and I'm taking you to the vet and I'm making sure you're 100% healthy, I better be able to scratch your head if I want to. That's just me. And that's why I was hesitant at first to get Marley. But I also, because I knew, what if she won't bond with me? And plus I was also a little scared of, what if we do bond? And we have a relationship similar to what Chico and I had, and I actually do love the bird, and then she dies on me. So that's exactly what's happened. We have bonded. I could never get rid of her now. Never. She loves me. I love her. I just pray to the good Lord that her and I have a long life together. So, alright guys, I hope this helped you to understand what it's like to own a macaw. Oh, you still don't know that's another video. This video was about, do you really want a bird? Let's talk about next. I'll have a part 2 to this. I'll do a part 2 on what it's like to own a macaw. What is your daily routine? What is the things you have to do? So that'll be, y'all look for part 2. I'll make this part 1. And I'll put that out in a few days or maybe next week or something. But y'all look for part 2 to this. And see if, since you have watched this one and you've decided maybe I do want a bird. Well, let's see what it's going to take for you to take care of it now. Alright guys. Peace out. Talk to you later.